Have you ever wondered why your favorite characters suddenly vanish from your favorite shows? One moment they're solving crimes, cracking jokes, or saving the day, and the next they're gone without a trace. No warning, no farewell, just silence. If you've been a loyal NCIS fan, you've likely felt that sting more than once. The series has built its reputation on being consistent, reliable, and always thrilling, but behind the scenes, it has faced a revolving door of stars whose exits left fans shocked, heartbroken, and desperate for answers. Was it their choice? Was it creative politics? Or was something darker happening that forced their hand? The truth is that each departure carried its own story, a mix of exhaustion, disrespect, tragedy, and even scandal that reached far beyond the TV screen. These weren't just characters leaving a show, they were real people fighting battles the audience never saw. Today, we uncover the truth behind 12 of the most shocking exits in NCIS history. From stars who quit because of long hours and burnout, to those who stood up for themselves and paid the price, to the actors whose real-life tragedies were written into the fabric of the show itself. This is the untold story of NCIS, and once you hear it, you'll never look at the series the same way again. When NCIS first aired, fans were immediately drawn to the cool confidence of Kate Todd, played by Sasha Alexander. She was the calm in the chaos, the voice of reason, the backbone of the team that balanced Gibbs's gruff leadership and DiNozzo's mischievous energy. She wasn't just another face in the lineup. Kate was sharp, witty, and believable in every way. Audiences saw her as the long-term anchor of the show, someone who would be there through every twist, every dangerous case, every shocking finale. That's why what happened after just 2 seasons was nothing short of devastating. Viewers watched in real time as Kate stood with her team, victorious in another mission, only for her life to be snatched away in a single violent heartbeat. A sniper's bullet cut through the celebration, killing her instantly, leaving Gibbs and the team and the audience reeling. The death was brutal, swift, and unforgettable, and it left fans asking, why? Why would the producers kill off one of the most beloved characters so suddenly? The answer, as it turned out, wasn't about ratings or shock value. It wasn't a stunt to boost numbers. It was something much more human. Behind the steady smile and sharp dialogue, Sasha Alexander was exhausted. The production schedule for NCIS was relentless. 17-hour days, nearly year-round, with little time to breathe. For an actor who had just come off another grueling project, the grind became unbearable. Her body and her mind were reaching their limit, and no matter how much she loved her character, the toll was simply too much to bear. Sasha approached the producers, not with anger, not with demands, but with honesty. She admitted she couldn't keep up, that she needed to step away for the sake of her own well-being. And unlike many Hollywood stories, this wasn't about drama or scandal. It was about recognizing the limits of being human in a machine that never stopped running. The producers respected her wishes, but they also knew that Kate Todd couldn't simply walk away quietly. She needed an exit that matched the intensity of the show, one that would burn itself into the minds of viewers forever. And so, the sniper's bullet became her farewell. It was shocking, it was sudden, and it was devastating, but it was also memorable. Sasha left not because of anger, not because of conflict, but because even the strongest actors can only carry so much weight. Her exit became a reminder that beneath the glitz of television, the people behind the characters face pressures that no camera ever shows. For NCIS fans, Kate Todd's death was the first painful lesson that nobody was safe, and that behind every departure, there's a story. When Lauren Holly stepped onto the NCIS stage, everything seemed to change. She wasn't just another field agent running alongside Gibbs and Donoso, she was the director, the woman in charge, and someone with a complicated past with Gibbs himself. That mix of authority and personal history brought a new spark to the series. Fans immediately noticed the chemistry between her and Gibbs, a push-and-pull tension that gave the show a deeper emotional core. At first, her run was never meant to last long. 6 episodes. That was all the producers had planned for Jenny Shepard. But something unexpected happened. Audiences liked her. She clicked. The relationship dynamics worked so well that suddenly 6 episodes turned into nearly 50. Lauren Holly went from guest star to one of the most important figures in the NCIS universe, steering the team and adding layers to the storyline. For a while, it looked like Jenny Shepard was here to stay. But then, things changed behind the camera. What started as an exciting new role slowly transformed into something monotonous. Week after week, Jenny was stuck in the same setting, making the same calls, repeating the same patterns. The writers weren't pushing her, the character wasn't evolving, and the spark that first brought her in began to dim. For an actress who thrived on challenges, this was stifling. She had joined the show with the promise of intrigue, leadership, and tension. Instead, the role became static, a figurehead rather than a living, breathing character. And then came another blow. Showrunner Don Belisario, the man who had brought her in, left the series. With him gone, the creative direction shifted. Jenny Shepard's story changed, but not for the better. The subtleties disappeared, her arc stalled, and Holly herself felt disconnected from the role she once embraced. The truth finally came out in her own words. She was bored, not angry, not betrayed, just finished. Acting is about growth, and when a character is trapped in a cycle of repetition, even the most dedicated actor eventually reaches their breaking point. Lauren made the decision to leave, and the producers decided to give her a dramatic send-off worthy of the authority she had carried. Jenny Shepard didn't simply resign or disappear. She went out in a blaze of bullets, facing enemies from her past in a tense and emotional standoff. It was bold, risky, and unforgettable. A goodbye that shocked fans but gave Lauren Holly the closure she needed. For NCIS, it marked more than just the death of a character. It was the end of an era. With Shepard gone, the dynamic at the top shifted, and the show entered a new chapter. For fans, her exit was a reminder that even the most powerful positions on screen can hide a truth behind the scenes. Sometimes, the role you thought would define you simply runs out of meaning. And when that happens, even the boss has to walk away. Few characters in NCIS history lit up the screen the way Ziva David did. From the moment Cote de Pablo joined the cast, everything changed. She wasn't just a replacement for Kate Todd, she was something entirely different. Ziva brought fire, unpredictability, and a sharp-edged intelligence that fans had never seen before. She was a Mossad officer turned NCIS agent, a woman carrying layers of trauma, strength, and vulnerability. Within weeks, she became the spark of the show. She could go from interrogating a suspect with icy calm to trading playful banter with Donoso in a heartbeat. For many fans, she became the beating heart of NCIS, which is why her sudden disappearance in Season 11 didn't just surprise people, it shattered them. One moment, Ziva was in the middle of important storylines, her chemistry with Donoso building into one of the most beloved slow-burn relationships in TV history. And the next, she was simply gone. No build-up, no farewell tour, no gradual exit. David McCallum, who played Ducky, admitted even he didn't see it coming. The cast was blindsided, the fans left in shock. At first, Cote de Pablo was quiet about the reasons behind her exit. She told reporters it was a personal decision. But silence doesn't last forever. Later, she revealed the real reason, a reason that cut deeper than contract negotiations or scheduling conflicts. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about fame. It was about respect. Cote felt the writers were no longer honoring the character she had built for 8 years. Ziva David was complex, layered, strong, yet vulnerable. She wasn't just another supporting role, she was a force. And yet, according to Cote, the scripts had begun to flatten her, stripping away the depth and power that made her special. The respect she deserved, both for her work and for the character herself, was gone. For Cote, that was the breaking point. She couldn't keep playing a version of Ziva that didn't reflect the woman she had spent nearly a decade bringing to life. So she walked away, not because she wanted to, but because she felt she had to. Fans were left with a void. Ziva's absence wasn't just felt, it was gaping. The writers tried to patch it, even hinting at her supposed death, only to later reveal she was alive. And then, years later, she made a brief return that gave fans hope, but also underlined the truth. It would never be the same. For NCIS, Ziva's exit proved something many shows ignore. Bad writing can drive away even the strongest stars. And for fans, her sudden departure became a permanent scar in the DNA of the show. The chemistry, the fire, the bond between Ziva and Tony, it all lived on in memory and fan theories. But the real magic had been broken. Cote de Pablo's decision to leave was a stand for respect, and it proved that sometimes walking away is the only way to preserve the legacy of a character you love. For 13 seasons, Anthony Dinozzo was the life of NCIS. He was witty, charming, mischievous, and always ready with a one-liner. But beneath the jokes, he carried the emotional weight of the team. Played by Michael Weatherly, Dinozzo wasn't just comic relief. He was the spark that balanced Gibbs's steel, Ziva's intensity, and McGee's brains. Fans adored him because he could be serious when it counted. But more importantly, he made NCIS feel human. For over 300 episodes, he became one of the most recognizable faces of the franchise. But as time wore on, cracks began to show, not in Dinozzo's character, but in Michael Weatherly himself. Long days, endless months of filming, and the sheer weight of playing the same role year after year took a toll. Weatherly admitted he was tired, not just physically, but creatively. After over a decade, he felt the circle was complete. He had told Tony's story. There wasn't a single scandal or one explosive fight behind the scenes. It wasn't drama, it was time. Weatherly wanted to breathe again. And so, after 13 years, he made the decision to leave. But unlike others, his exit wasn't wrapped in violence or tragedy. The writers chose to give Tony Dinozzo a gentler, more emotional farewell. In the storyline, Tony discovered he had a daughter with Ziva, and in a moment that melted the hearts of fans, he decided to leave NCIS to raise her. It was quiet, powerful, and bittersweet. Fans cried because it wasn't just Tony walking away. It was the end of one of the show's most beloved dynamics, the slow burn, will they or won't they romance between Tony and Ziva. His goodbye left the door cracked open, leaving fans clinging to hope that one day Dinozzo and Ziva would return together. Yet Weatherly's journey didn't end with NCIS. Not long after leaving, he landed the lead role in CBS's Bull, a courtroom drama that gave him a new spotlight. But controversy soon followed. Actress Eliza Dushku brought onto Bull for what was supposed to be a recurring role, accused Weatherly of inappropriate comments on set. She was dismissed from the series shortly after, and CBS later settled with her for $9.5 million. Weatherly apologized for some of his behavior, but the incident left a shadow on his career. Despite the controversy, his connection to NCIS never truly faded. Over the years, Weatherly has teased fans with hints of a return, often dropping cryptic posts suggesting Dinozzo and Ziva's story isn't over. And while nothing official has been confirmed, the fan base remains fiercely loyal, still dreaming of the reunion they were denied. Michael Weatherly's departure wasn't explosive like Sasha Alexander's or tense like Cote de Pablo's. It was quieter, born out of exhaustion and the desire to start anew. But it carried just as much weight, because Tony Dinozzo wasn't just another character. He was the spark, the humor, the glue that held the team together. His absence was felt immediately, and even now, years later, NCIS fans still hope for the day he'll walk back into the squad room with that familiar smirk and remind them why they loved him in the first place. Character, she was an icon. With her gothic style, pigtails, lab coat, and boundless energy, Pauley Perrette turned Abby into the heartbeat of NCIS. She wasn't just a forensic scientist solving cases in the background. She was the quirky, brilliant soul of the team, the one who gave warmth and levity to even the darkest investigations. Kids admired her. Adults adored her. And for many fans, Abby wasn't just part of the show. She was the show. That's why when news broke in 2017 that Perrette was leaving after 15 years, fans weren't just sad, they were stunned. How could NCIS survive without its goth queen? At first, it seemed like a natural ending. A star moving on after a long run. But then, the truth began to unravel, and what came out was darker than anyone expected. Shortly after her final episode aired, Perrette took to social media with cryptic posts. She spoke of multiple physical assaults and of being silenced. She said she had endured things so disturbing she couldn't even speak openly about them. Fans immediately began speculating, what really happened behind the curtain of NCIS? Soon reports surfaced that tensions on set had reached a boiling point, and much of it centered around Mark Harmon. The alleged flashpoint? Harmon's dog. According to multiple accounts, Harmon brought his dog to set, and one day the dog bit a crew member so severely that the man required stitches. Instead of leaving the dog at home, Harmon reportedly continued bringing the animal to work, and the atmosphere became tense. Perrette, outspoken and protective of her colleagues, allegedly confronted the situation, but it only created more strain. The once close-knit working relationship between her and Harmon soured, and by her own account, she began to feel unsafe. Perrette later claimed she suffered nightmares, paranoia, and fear as a result of what went on behind the scenes. While she didn't name Harmon directly in her posts, the implications were clear, and industry insiders connected the dots. CBS later released a statement saying they had worked with both actors to resolve the issues, but Perrette made it clear she was done. She vowed never to return, and hinted that fans would never truly know how dark things had become. Her exit storyline on NCIS tried to do justice to Abby's legacy. Rather than killing her off, the writers gave Abby a hero's departure. In her final episodes, Abby was caught in a harrowing assassination attempt that left her shaken and questioning her future. Instead of returning to the lab, she chose to leave NCIS behind, dedicating her life to charity work in honor of a fallen friend. It was a heartfelt goodbye, but for fans who knew the storm raging off camera, it felt bittersweet. Abby's signature parasol left behind in the lab was more than just a character prop. It was a symbol of everything Perrette endured, but couldn't fully say out loud. Her exit wasn't just another cast change. It was a warning, a glimpse into how even the most beloved stars can be driven away when trust and safety are compromised. For NCIS, losing Abby was like losing part of its soul. For fans, it was a painful reminder that sometimes the smiles and laughter on screen hide real-life battles no one should ever have to fight. And for Pauley Perrette, walking away from NCIS wasn't just the end of a job, it was an escape. When Jennifer Esposito joined NCIS as Alex Quinn, it felt like the show was ready for a new era. Donoso was gone, and fans needed someone fresh to keep the energy alive. Quinn was seasoned, sharp, and instantly fit into the squad dynamic. She carried authority and had the instincts of a veteran agent, and her banter with the team made it feel like she had been there all along. Fans assumed she would stick around for years, that she would become another central figure in the NCIS universe, but just as quickly as she arrived, she vanished. No major farewell, no dramatic death. Quinn simply left the show, her character written out with a short explanation about taking care of her sick mother. The excuse felt almost too simple, too quiet for a character with so much potential. Speculation spread online. Was Jennifer sick? Was there behind-the-scenes drama? Esposito silenced those rumors herself. She said she was healthy, happy, and had always known her run on NCIS would be short. She never saw Alex Quinn as a forever role, and she walked away with no bad blood. Still, fans felt cheated. They had barely gotten to know Quinn before she was gone. Another case of a character who seemed built for greatness, but never given the chance to grow. For many, her exit added to the growing feeling that NCIS had a problem keeping talent. That suspicion only grew stronger when Dwayne Henry's Clayton Reeves was killed off. Reeves wasn't like anyone else on the team. A former MI6 officer with charisma and mystery, he brought an international flavor that opened up new storylines. Fans embraced him quickly. And his chemistry with Abby Sciuto made him even more beloved. But then came tragedy, both on screen and off. Reeves was introduced under the leadership of showrunner Gary Glassberg, who had big plans for the character. But in 2016, Glassberg died suddenly, and with his death came uncertainty about Reeves's place in the show. Henry later admitted that after Glassberg's passing, the creative team seemed unsure of what to do with Reeves. The energy was gone, the story stalled, and Dwayne could see the writing on the wall. Eventually, the decision was made to write him out, and Henry agreed to it. But Reeves didn't just walk away. He went out as a hero, dying while protecting Abby in one of the most emotional scenes in NCIS history. Fans wept, devastated to lose not one, but two characters in the same arc. For Henry, it was a bittersweet goodbye. He respected the send-off, but the truth beneath it revealed how fragile a character's fate can be when the people guiding the story are suddenly gone. After that heartbreak, Emily Wickersham's exit carried a quieter tone, but still shocked the fanbase. Wickersham joined in Season 11 as Ellie Bishop, the analyst-turned-field agent who slowly won over viewers. At first, she faced skepticism. Could anyone truly replace Ziva David? But over 8 seasons, she carved out her own legacy. Bishop was thoughtful, sharp, and quietly strong. She wasn't trying to be Ziva. She was Bishop, and fans grew to love her for exactly that. Which is why her departure at the end of Season 18 felt like such a gut punch. On screen, Bishop left on a secret mission, the kind of exit that usually teases a return. But off-screen, Wickersham broke the news herself on Instagram, posting a short, heartfelt message, thanking the cast and crew and calling her run an epic ride. There was no anger, no scandal, just silence and mystery. Eventually, the truth emerged. Wickersham was leaving to focus on her personal life. She was about to become a mother, and she chose peace over another season of long filming hours. Unlike others, her exit was free of tension, but it was still deeply felt. Fans had invested years into Bishop's journey, and seeing her walk away reminded everyone that even in the middle of success, sometimes people choose family first. Together, these three departures, Esposito, Henry, and Wickersham, painted a picture of the shifting ground beneath NCIS. Some exits were planned, some were forced, some came from heartbreak, and some from life's natural changes. But each one chipped away at the stability fans thought NCIS would always have, proving once again that no one is ever truly safe on this show. Not even the stars fans grow to depend on. Shalita Grant burst onto the scene in NCIS New Orleans as Sonia Percy, a tough, fearless agent with quick wit and sharp instincts. She wasn't just a side character, she was fire, energy, and honesty all rolled into one. Originally brought in as a recurring guest, her presence was undeniable, and it didn't take long before she was promoted to series regular. Fans loved her because she stood out. Percy was bold, unafraid to challenge her teammates, and brought a different edge to the spin-off. It seemed like she was destined to become one of the cornerstones of the series. And then, just as quickly as she had risen, she was gone. No epic death scene, no major plot twist. Just gone. Official statements called her exit mutual and friendly, with Grant herself saying it was simply time for a change. But fans didn't buy it. Percy had too much promise, too much heat, too much unfinished story. Rumors swirled that behind-the-scenes disagreements or creative conflicts may have played a role, but nothing was ever confirmed. Grant herself stayed quiet, never revealing the full story, leaving fans to speculate. What was clear, though, was that her departure left a hole in New Orleans that was never truly filled. Things only grew darker with the story of Zoe McClellan, another star of NCIS, New Orleans. Cast as Special Agent Meredith Brody, she was sharp, confident, and quickly positioned as a female lead who could hold her own. Fans embraced her, and it looked like she was set to anchor the series for years. But after only 2 seasons, she vanished, written out with vague talk of creative differences. At first, people assumed it was simply the writers shifting direction. But the truth that later emerged painted a far uglier picture. According to former showrunner Jeffrey Lieber, the decision to remove Zoe wasn't about her performance or chemistry with the cast. It came from then CBS chief Les Moonves, who allegedly said Zoe wasn't fuckable enough. That crude, degrading remark sparked outrage, especially as Moonves would later be forced out of CBS amid numerous allegations of misconduct. But for Zoe McClellan, the damage had already been done. She was gone from NCIS not because of her work, but because of a powerful man's abuse of authority. Fans were furious, critics outraged, and her departure became one of the darkest stains in the history of the franchise. Yet not all departures were tainted by scandal. Lucas Black's exit from NCIS, New Orleans, was heartbreaking for an entirely different reason. From the very first episode, Black's portrayal of Chris LaSalle made him a fan favorite. He was steady, brave, and carried the Southern charm that grounded the team. He wasn't flashy, but he was reliable, the kind of character audiences could always root for. Over 6 seasons, LaSalle became the heart of New Orleans, and viewers expected him to be there for the long haul. That's why his sudden on-screen death shocked everyone. LaSalle was gunned down, and fans were left devastated. Unlike many others, Black's reason for leaving had nothing to do with scandal or exhaustion. It was about family. After years of long filming days and constant production, he decided it was time to step back and focus on his wife and children. He posted a heartfelt message online after his final episode aired, writing simply, "That's all she wrote. No drama, no bitterness, just peace." His exit was powerful because it reminded fans that sometimes the most human choice is to walk away from fame and focus on what truly matters. These three exits, Grant's sudden disappearance, McClellan's unjust firing, and Black's heartfelt farewell, showed three very different sides of NCIS. Some stories end in silence, some in scandal, and some in sacrifice. Together, they painted a picture of how unpredictable the franchise has always been, and why fans learned long ago never to get too comfortable. Because on NCIS, no character is safe, and no exit is ever just what it seems. Miguel Ferrer was never just another actor on NCIS, Los Angeles. He was the steel in the spine of the show. From the moment he appeared as assistant director Owen Granger in Season 3, he commanded the screen with quiet authority. He wasn't loud, he wasn't flashy, but when Granger spoke, everyone listened. He was the calm in the storm, the one who could challenge Hetty without flinching, the one who could balance the chaos of undercover operations with a single, steady look. Over the years, fans grew to respect him not just as a character, but as a presence. He grounded the series, bringing toughness without arrogance, leadership without theatrics. But while Granger seemed unshakable on screen, behind the scenes, Miguel Ferrer was fighting a battle no script could contain. In 2016, fans began to notice a change in his voice. The deep, commanding tone that had defined Granger was weakening. Whispers spread that Ferrer was ill, and those whispers were true. He had been diagnosed with throat cancer. The disease was relentless, but Ferrer was determined. He kept working, even as his health declined, even as the pain grew worse. Rather than hide his illness, the producers wove it into the show. Granger's raspy voice and visible struggle weren't masked. They were honored. Viewers saw the real Miguel in Granger's storyline, and it added a heartbreaking layer of authenticity. Every scene became more than acting. It became a testament to his courage. While most would have stepped away to focus solely on recovery, Ferrer refused to let the illness take his art from him. He poured himself into his role until he physically couldn't anymore. And then, on January 19, 2017, Miguel Ferrer lost his battle. He was only 61 years old. The cast and crew were devastated. Chris O'Donnell later said the show gave Miguel a reason to keep going in his final years, that it gave him purpose even as cancer tried to steal everything. His death left a hole not just in NCIS, Los Angeles, but in the hearts of everyone who had ever worked with him. The show honored him in a way only fitting for a man of his presence. In one of the most moving tributes ever seen on the series, Miguel's own band, the Generators, played a haunting version of "Knockin' on Heaven's Door." It wasn't just an episode. It was a farewell letter, written in love and grief, shared with millions of fans who felt the weight of his loss. Granger's departure wasn't explosive, scandalous, or dramatic. It was real. It was raw. It was life and death written across the screen. For fans, his final episodes became more than entertainment. They became a reminder that behind the characters we love are people, vulnerable and mortal. Miguel's courage in the face of cancer, his decision to keep performing until his final days, gave his exit a dignity that few others could match. And in many ways, his loss stands as the most heartbreaking in NCIS history. Because while others left due to exhaustion, boredom, or creative conflicts, Miguel Ferrer left because life itself gave him no choice. His absence still lingers, his shadow still felt, his strength still remembered. His story was the ultimate reminder of the humanity behind the franchise. That behind the gunfights, the witty dialogue, and the endless cases, these are real people carrying real burdens, and sometimes those burdens are heavier than any of us can imagine. In the end, the 12 shocking exits from NCIS were more than cast changes. They were glimpses behind the curtain, reminders of the fragile balance between art and life. Sasha Alexander left because exhaustion nearly broke her. Lauren Holly left because boredom drained her passion. Cote de Pablo left because her character's respect was stripped away. Michael Weatherly left because he was tired of the grind. Polly Perrette left because fear stole her safety. Jennifer Esposito left because her role was always meant to be brief. Dwayne Henry left because tragedy took away his creative champion. Emily Wickersham left because life gave her something more important. Shalita Grant left quietly, with questions that never got answers. Zoe McClellan left because of a decision rooted in cruelty and power abuse. Lucas Black left because he chose family over fame. And Miguel Ferrer left because death finally came for him, but not before he showed the world the meaning of true resilience. Together, these exits shaped NCIS into what it is today, a show defined not only by its cases and characters, but by the stories behind the screen, the battles fought in silence, and the human truths that television can never fully hide. And for fans who have watched every season, every goodbye was a wound that never fully healed. Each exit a reminder that no matter how strong a character seems, nobody is ever truly safe.